You're listening to the Digest This podcast, and I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. Have we all been wrong about soy? That is the main million-dollar question in today's episode because I think there's a lot of conflicting research and everyone has a different narrative and everyone's saying soy is bad. It's a phytoestrogen. And that's something I want to talk about are phytoestrogens beyond just soy and where you can find phytoestrogens in food, the benefits of them, and even the benefits of soy. And this episode is not to really even promote soy or demonize soy because I think it has its place. And I don't think everyone should be consuming soy, but I also think there are people that can actually benefit. And again, the first question is, have we all been wrong about soy? And have they been hiding research? And have they been hiding things because they don't want us to consume soy? Because you guys will be surprised. This stuff is crazy of what I found of the benefits of soy and that so many people are thriving off of it. Now, again, I want to just share what I've found, and I want you to be the person to feel, or I don't want to say distinguish, but I want you to really do your own research and question, have they been hiding stuff? Just like, we know now that they've told us egg yolks, they are high in cholesterol and they cause this and that. We know egg yolks are so good for us. We know meat is amazing for us. And there's been this narrative of about so many different health foods. And come to find out later, they've all been lying to us. So I'm just wondering, have they been lying to us about soy too? So that's what I kind of want to go over in today's episode. And again, just phytoestrogens in general, because I don't think they're for everyone, but I do think a lot of people can also benefit. So it's up to you if you feel like you could be one of those people. Hey guys, I want to give every one of you a gift, so listen up. Many of you know that I created my own digestive support protein powder designed to aid in gut health and specifically formulated for those with sensitive tummies. I created this back in 2018, and since then, it's helped thousands of you with digestive issues and given relief. All that positive feedback has encouraged me to expand the Bethany's Pantry line with 3 different flavors, a protein bake, and L-glutamine powder to help heal and seal the gut lining. So as a thank you for being a podcast listener, I want to give you $10 off anything from my digestive support line. You can use this $10 discount on any flavor of protein bake, or digestive aid such as L-glutamine. The one-time code podcast10 will give you $10 off. Whether you're a regular consumer or have never tried but wanted to, anyone can use this code one time as a gift from me. Oh, and a little side note, because we source our pea protein from Europe, I can assure you it's not sprayed with glyphosate because it's actually illegal in Europe to spray pea crops with such chemicals. Europe's standards and regulations on growing crops are far superior than American standards, and that's why I am proud to use such a source for my clean, easy to digest, lectin-free protein powder. Go to bethanysPantry.com, which is our new website, and use the code podcast10 for $10 off anything. Again, bethanysPantry.com, and then go and use the podcast10 code and you'll get $10 off. Reality is, modern life is full of hidden stressors. Poor nutrition can stress out and tax your body. Environmental toxins can also stress out the body. There's so much that can drain our energy and focus without us even realizing it. And by the time we do realize it, it's often harder to get back into balance. Armor Colostrum is nature's original performance upgrade, packed with over 400 bioactive nutrients that fortify gut health, strengthens immunity, and ignites metabolism at the cellular level. It's not just about feeling good, it's about sustaining the clarity, resilience, and longevity needed to make smarter decisions and stay ahead of the game. Armor has been a partner of mine for almost 3 years straight, and I've worked out a special offer offer for my audience. You can receive 15% off your first order. Just go to tryarmra.com/digest or enter digest to get 15% off your first order. That's tryarmra.com/digest. All right, first, let's do a little recap and summary about estrogen. We all know that this is a hormone that is essential for health in all sexes. Although females have higher amounts, it may help the bones and keep them strong. I think there's a lot of research to back that up. It helps regulate metabolism and support fertility. Without estrogen, of course, we need all sorts of hormones, but estrogen is one that plays a part in fertility. Now, phytoestrogens may have a similar effect on the body to estrogen, which may help those with low estrogen, such as people going through menopause. Maybe your period stopped for a random reason. However, I do think it's important to note that people have to consistently consume fairly high amounts of phytoestrogens for them to have any measurable effect on the body. So you can't just eat a couple of soybeans and think you're good to go. Now, phytoestrogens are naturally occurring compounds found in over 300 plants. They mimic estrogen, which is a hormone with many functions in the body beyond just fertility, beyond bone health. I mean, it's for your heart, your brain. There's so many different things. Now, in females, estrogen fluctuates, of course, throughout our cycle. And it influences the sexual development, menstruation, and libido. Now, in males, adequate estrogen also supports libido and sexual function, including the ability to get an erection, which is really interesting because a lot of people think that only women need estrogen. Obviously, they need more than males, but males do still need estrogen, just like females need testosterone, right? But we don't need as much testosterone as men. So in all sexes, estrogen plays a role in regulating the metabolism of fats and glucose, bone strength, and brain health. And as a result, having adequate amounts of estrogen is important. So phytoestrogens may have a similar effect to estrogen, as I just mentioned. They're also antioxidants and are anti-inflammatory. Most foods do contain low amounts of phytoestrogen in comparison to the amount of estrogen the body naturally produces. So how do phytoestrogens actually work? So they imitate estrogen because their chemical structure is very similar to that of estradiol. So this is a form of estrogen the body produces, estradiol, okay? So when phytoestrogens enter the body's estrogen receptors treat them as if they were estrogen. But the body also does not absorb the phytoestrogens from foods very well. As a result, a person has to eat relatively high amounts of them to affect their health, which this could be a good or bad thing, depending on if you're trying to avoid phytoestrogens, then you don't really need to worry because you're probably not going to be eating a lot. But if you're eating phytoestrogens for the benefit of estrogen, you may need to consume a lot more than you thought. Okay, so keep that in mind. So, for example, soy contains a phytoestrogen known as isoflavonoid. So, a person needs to consistently consume between 40 and 70 milligrams per day, or an average of 50 milligrams per day to produce the health effects. In Asia, where soy products are a staple food, the average daily intake of isoflavonoids is between 15 and 50 milligrams. In the West, get this, you guys, the average amount is only around 2 milligrams per day. So comparing people here in like the United States versus Asia, 15 to 50 milligrams in Asia. And then here in the US, it's like 2 milligrams per day, if that. So that's a little bit crazy. And so many people in Asia are super healthy. They have great bone health and all of the things. And we're wondering, dang, a lot of people here now in the USA were avoiding soy and we're having worse health issues. And I'm not just blaming it because we're not eating soy. Obviously, the lifestyle and diet here in America is just horrible. But I think this may play a part. Now, again, I'm not saying you should be eating soy, but I just, again, want to lay it all out there on the table and just share what the research has found. And again, it's just like in the back of my mind, I'm like, have they been suppressing all of this research to make us sick and to give us pharmaceuticals where we may be able to correct something with just some phytoestrogens in our food, with soy and other foods too? Because maybe you have a soy allergy and you can't have soy. So there's phytoestrogens in other foods, which I'll get to in just a second here. So, well, let's just get into it. So foods that contain phytoestrogens, get a pen, paper, save this episode so you can reference back to it later. I'm just going to take this time right now to just say, if you do enjoy this podcast, please give it a 5-star rating and review. It really does help the show. So thank you for that. All right. So foods that include phytoestrogens. Obviously, I just mentioned soy. So I think a lot of people are aware of soy. So I would definitely recommend unprocessed soybeans as like the main staple, right? We don't want to get into fake meat and soy. Even soy protein powder is it's very processed. So what I would do is stick to tofu, if a clean organic, make sure it's organic and non-GMO, because a lot of soy, soy is like one of the top foods here that is GMO produced and heavily sprayed. So you definitely want to make sure it's organic. And if it's organic, that automatically means it's non-GMO, just to let you know. So you can have GMO stuff, you can have GMO food and it not be organic, but you can't have organic and it not be GMO. Am I saying that right? Basically, if it's organic, it's automatically non-GMO. So just look for organic. So tofu, tempeh, that's a good one. And then obviously just edamame, that's like the cleanest source. And then if you can find soy milk, that's just like 2 ingredients. The other day I was at the store and I saw it was the brand 3 Trees. And I think Malk now is starting to make soy. And the 3 Trees brand, was just filtered water and organic soybeans. Like that was it, just 2 ingredients, no gums, no anything else. And I think Malk is very similar. They may add salt. It's like water, filtered water, organic soybeans, and salt. So look for those if you want to kind of dabble into the soy and just see. So nuts and seeds, they also contain a lot of phytoestrogens. Flax seeds in particular, those are one of the main sources of a type of phytoestrogen. And to a lesser extent, many other nuts and seeds also contain phytoestrogens, including peanuts and sunflower seeds. Now, I always recommend avoiding peanuts. I avoid peanuts at all costs because they're very high in aflatoxins, which is known to cause a lot of cancer. They're high in lectins. They're also very high in mold. I break out when I eat peanut. Like you don't want to eat peanuts. It's just like a really not good thing to eat. Sunflower seeds, on the other hand, you can get whole sunflower seeds. I really like, or the organic sun butter. I always stick to the organic, I was going to say brand, but the organic like line of the sun butter brand, just because the sun butter also has like a non-organic and they have sugar and other things that they add to it. But the organic one, which is like a green cap, that's literally 1 ingredient and it's just organic ground sunflower seeds. And I know the question's going to come up of, oh, but what about sunflower oil? I thought we should avoid sunflower seeds. So the oil is completely different than the whole sunflower seed or sunflower seed butter because it's just ground up sunflower seeds. That's it. Now the oil, it goes through extraction. It's bleached. It goes through so many different like degumming. I don't even know, but if you look up how it's made, it's disgusting. So it's very, very processed. It's very oxidized, and so the oil is completely different than just like whole sunflowers or ground sunflower seeds. So I want to make that clear. It's completely different. So grains, they're also very high in phytoestrogens, in particularly rye, wheat, oats, and barley. Now, I'm not really a fan of oats. I'm not a fan of wheat. If you do consume them, please make sure they're organic because these grains are very highly sprayed with glyphosate and chemicals. So really try and look for the organic types. Now, again, you don't have to consume them, but I'm just sharing some grains that do contain some low amounts of phytoestrogens. Now, dairy products contain phytoestrogens too. Now, these include like cow's milks, yogurt, and butter. I don't really drink, I've stopped drinking I don't want to say whole cow's milk, but I've stopped drinking like just dairy milk in general. I do eat butter. And I do obviously consume so much yogurt. Like it's ridiculous how much yogurt I consume. So it's healing to my gut. Again, this is just personal experience. And if you feel like you have a dairy allergy, because I felt like I did many, many years ago, my holistic doctor told me this like 20 plus years ago. He's like, just eat yogurt. If you have trouble with cheese or butter or milk, try yogurt or kefir because it's fermented and the chemical structure actually changes within the dairy. So I tried it, and now I started with like a spoon a day, and now I eat probably like 2 cups of yogurt a day. It's ridiculous, and I always opt for unsweetened, unflavored, plain Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt has less sugar. It has obviously more protein, and so the macro count is just superior. So it's a full source of protein. It's contains all 9 essential amino acids. So it's a complete protein. That's the word I was looking for, complete. Okay, back to phytoestrogens here though. Fruits and vegetables. So there are only a few certain fruits that do contain phytoestrogens, and these can include apples, pomegranates, grapes, and berries. Vegetables that contain phytoestrogens are garlic, turmeric, carrots, celery, potatoes, sweet potatoes, broccoli, cabbage, spinach, alfalfa sprouts, beans. And so this may come to a surprise to you because you may be like, oh man, I thought I was avoiding phytoestrogens. I've been diligently not consuming flax seeds, not consuming soy, and here I'm eating all these foods and they contain phytoestrogens. So surprise, surprise, they do have a little small amount. But again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, you'd have to eat just an absurd amount to really get the benefits of the phytoestrogen. So I do believe soy and flax seeds are the top tier foods that contain very high amounts of phytoestrogen. So if you are wanting that in your diet, those 2 would be the very top. Now, I mean, there are some herbs that do contain some phytoestrogens. These are like more medicinal herbs like the red clover and hops. So if you're really into that, and herbs are, of course, are very concentrated, so you don't need a lot. They're, surprise, surprise, drinks, coffee, tea, and red wine and beer. So these contain some sources of phytoestrogen. So tell your husband or your boyfriend, hey, if you're drinking beer, you're also consuming phytoestrogens, and just freak him out and see what he says. So, okay. You guys always see me raving about Fatty 15 on my Instagram, and I've been taking it for about a year now and have even gotten my husband on board. Well, why? Because Fatty 15 is the first supplement ever to help cellular fragility syndrome, which is due to low levels of the essential fatty acid C15. The pure C15 ingredient in Fatty 15 has 26 more cellular benefits than omega-3 and repairs 83% of cell types. As many as 1 in 3 people worldwide may have low C15 levels and cellular fragility syndrome. So if you think your omega fish oil is doing you good, think again and try Fatty 15 for a change. And the icing on the cake is that Fatty 15 is 100% vegan with no burpy fish smell. If you are wanting to stop oxidation in the body and slow down aging, or just looking for a safer alternative to omega fish oil, give Fatty 15 a try just like I did. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15/digest and use code DIGEST at checkout. Let's get to the benefits of phytoestrogens because, of course, I've just laid everything out, but should you be taking them and why should you be taking them? So, the researchers, they found there's different studies, and I'm going to put all of these in today's show notes. So, go to today's show notes and look at all this research just in case you want to read more. So, there's, gosh, I don't even know how many, there's so many. So, there was a 2020 research review, and that indicated that whether phytoestrogens are beneficial, it does depend on the person. So this is really interesting. It depends on their hormone levels, how much they consume, and how much their body absorbs. So we're all different, and we may not be even absorbing it, or our body could just be like a sponge and absorb it just at all, just everything. So now, they can reduce menopause symptoms, they as meaning phytoestrogen. So there was a 2022 study, and they evaluated the effects of giving 40 milligrams of soy isoflavonoids it was twice daily within a 12-week period. And they gave it to perimenopausal and postmenopausal females. In each group, respectively, the authors recorded the following results. All right. So here's what happened: 42% and 33% experienced reduction in hot flashes. 45%, and the first percentage is the perimenopausal and then postmenopausal is the second percentage. So 45% and 30% experienced reduction in sleep disturbances. 37% and 40% experienced a reduction in symptoms of depression. And 16% and 14% experienced a reduction in sexual dysfunction. So, hot flashes, sleep disturbances, depression, sexual dysfunction, all of these people experienced a benefit, or not all, but 42 to 30%, I would say, experienced good results from these issues. Now, the authors note that while these soy isoflavonoids cannot completely replace hormone therapy, just note that, they said that the soy does have a, quote, good safety profile and may be suitable for long-term use. So if you're a little bit on the fence about HRT or taking some medication, experimenting with soy may be the first option before going the medication route. Again, I'm just laying it out there. You do what you want with it. Now, let's talk about bone health for a second, because low estrogen can contribute to weak bones and osteoporosis. And osteoporosis is more common in people going through menopause or even perimenopause. And, obviously there's fractures and there's a lot of health complications that come with it. And there was a study that found that older women who consumed soy milk for over a year had a 2.4 increase in bone density. And a PubMed study says Asian Americans who ate tofu reduced their risk of developing breast cancer. The more tofu they ate, the lower their risk of breast cancer. And again, I'm going to put this study, in today's show notes so you can kind of look it up yourself, because I think that a lot of people are concerned about developing breast cancer from soy or phytoestrogens in general. So I've actually even interviewed some people in this space on this podcast that are HRT experts. They even talk about soy, how it can really help with breast cancer and not harm it, or prevent it even. And then obviously bone health and things like that. And they were on the show. If you go back on my older podcast, you'll be able to listen to that too. So it's really, really interesting, in particularly about the soy. Now, I also want to talk about skin and aging, because apparently estrogen plays a role in skin health, and lower estrogen levels in menopause may contribute to the visible signs of aging due to a loss of collagen and elasticity, obviously, but also lack of estrogen. So a 2020 study, they noted that topical phytoestrogen, so this is topical, may be a promising treatment for skin health, wrinkles, etc. There are other earlier studies, and they showed that positive results of phytoestrogens intaking phytoestrogens may help similar effects of the topical estrogen creams. So again, this is really interesting, and I'm wondering if all of this is being suppressed. So now, are there any side effects of consuming soy? Obviously, if you have a soy allergy, do not consume it. There's, as mentioned, there's other ways to get phytoestrogens in your diet through the other foods I mentioned. But are there any risks associated? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about thyroid function. So according to a 2020 review, some studies have found that isoflavonoids can contribute to an underactive thyroid in people who already have an iodine deficiency. So keep that in mind if that is on your radar. However, there are a few studies proving this also happens in people with adequate iodine and a healthy functioning thyroid. So those studies, again, just keep that in mind if that is on your radar. And so let's talk about the low testosterone, because I think a lot of people are wondering about that. So there was a 2018 study on protein supplements, and that showed that soy had no effect on testosterone levels in males. Interesting. In the study, 48 college-age men did resistance training for 12 weeks. Some took soy protein and some took whey protein, and others took a placebo. Now, while whey protein resulted in higher testosterone levels, soy did not decrease it. It also did not increase estrogen levels. So it was pretty much like a flat line. Didn't go up, it didn't go down. There was a 2021 review of 38 previous clinical trials, and that showed the same conclusion. So the researchers found no evidence that either soy or isoflavonoids affected testosterone or estrogen levels in males. So I think that is maybe a myth that a lot of people think. Some people think that soy makes males more feminine. So apparently, this is just the research. There is no scientific evidence to support this in humans. Studies demonstrating this effect have used high doses of phytoestrogen in rats or other animals. There was a 2021 study involving 147 infants. They compared the effects of soy formula to cow's milk formula and breastfeeding from birth to 28 weeks of age. And there were no differences in testosterone levels between the groups. Now, again, I personally have my own opinion about that, because I don't think that you can really measure an infant's testosterone levels accurately, because they're still an infant. So that was a little bit interesting to me. So I would caution on that. But again, just laying it all out there. Now I'm going to tell you my personal experience with soy. So I avoid it. And this is why, not because of the effects. Like, I actually wish that I could consume soy. So during this time of my research with all of these studies, I was like, man, the benefits are great. Like, anti-cancer, it helps with bone health, like it does all the things. So I started and I got some soy milk, the clean brand. It was like 2 ingredients, organic, all of that. And within 24 hours, I had some of the soy milk. It was like 1 or 2 cups, I can't remember. And the next day, I had the worst cystic acne, like on my face, on my back. And I've never even had cystic acne, let alone acne on my back. Like, even when I was going through puberty as a teenager, I got acne on my face, but I still had a clear back. So this was really weird to me, that I was like, whoa. So all of that to say, I don't know if I have an allergy to soy or if it just affects me differently. Again, it's all individualized. So unfortunately, I can't consume soy because I know that my body just does not respond to it very well. That's not to say you shouldn't. Maybe you're like me and you just can't consume it because of some sort of reaction, or you just prefer to stay away from it. That's totally fine. But again, I'm going to put all of these studies in today's show notes because I think it's really interesting. Just not even about soy, but it's interesting that all of these studies have been suppressed, and mainstream media, or I don't know, it just feels like there's a narrative and like soy has been demonized so much. And it may have negative effects, it may have positive effects, but I do know that if you try it for a week or even a month, I don't think it's going to have a negative effect unless you get some weird reaction. But I don't think it's going to have a negative effect on your hormones or things like that. Again, personal opinion. I think you would have to be taking it for a long time to see anything. So that said, do your research, have an open mind. We may have been lied to about a lot of things. I know we've been lied to about a lot of things. So this is maybe just one of those things we can put in the bucket. All right. So thanks, guys, for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To check out more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com, and to email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.
Are you ready to rock middle age? I'm Dr. Tina Moore, Gen X truth teller and holistic physician. On the Dr. Tina Show, one of Apple Podcast's top alternative health shows, I share what actually works for metabolic health, hormones, and strength, backed by decades of clinical results, not trends. From loving the gym and hitting your protein goals to peptides and microdosing GLP-1s, it's all done the right way, not the hype way. Because menopause doesn't have to suck if you're fit. New episodes every Thursday, produced by Drake Peterson and Wellness Loud.